In order to more fully understand the reading that we have from the book of Jeremiah today, we need to consider the social and historical circumstances that the prophet Jeremiah is writing in. So Judah has been invaded twice by the Babylonian Empire in 598 and 587 BCE, which has resulted in the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Significant numbers of Judeans have been forcibly relocated to Babylon to serve the empire in a period which would become known as the Exile. Jeremiah's writing seeks to put these events in their theological context as people try to work out why this disaster has befallen them. And it is Jeremiah's assertion that it is Judah's failure to trust in and follow God that has resulted in the downfall of the nation. In chapter 23, Jeremiah turns his attention to those who hold positions of leadership in Judean society. The shepherds that Jeremiah refers to are both the political and religious leaders of Judah who have failed to attend to their flocks and have scattered them. The specific charges have already been outlined in the previous chapter. The sons of King Josiah, in contrast to their father, who furthered the cause of the poor and the needy, allowed injustice to grow through their own selfishness. Idolatry, oppression, violence, and the shedding of innocent blood, and neglecting to take up the cause of the widow, the orphan, and the foreigner, are all identified as sins committed by Judah's leaders. This corruption and injustice weakened Judean society, and it has led it away from God. The destruction that follows is therefore an outworking of the bad leadership that they've been under, which the prophet makes it ominously clear will have consequences for those leaders. Jeremiah's utterances, which outline and explain the disaster experienced by the Judean people, are why he is so often cited as being a prophet of gloom and doom. Yet we also have to recognise that Jeremiah also seeks to offer hope in a very difficult situation. Jeremiah makes reference to the exilic remnant, now living in Babylon, who he states will find restoration by God's hand. Jeremiah is confident in the faithfulness of God as the true and ultimate shepherd of the covenanted people. And it is this confidence in God which leads Jeremiah to proclaim that God will gather in and restore his flock. This regathering will enable God's covenanted people to be fruitful and to multiply, words that echo the promise that God offers to all humanity in the book of Genesis. Jeremiah also affirms that God will raise up shepherds who actually shepherd the people, and none of the flock will be found to be missing. Thus, through God's action, there will be a complete restoration of the covenanted community, where people will no longer live in fear, a reversal of the situation they now find themselves in exile. Jeremiah then goes on to talk about a righteous branch from the house of David, who will reign as king, dealing wisely and executing justice and righteousness in the land, and where the people will dwell in safety. For Christians interpreting this passage, it's the person of Jesus Christ who fulfills this prophetic expectation in his life, death, and resurrection. And through Christ, God's kingdom is established amongst us, and his way of love made known. As we read this passage, it seems to occur that the 21st century has many examples of bad leadership, cruel and vain rulers within the world, whose corruption, lack of concern for the vulnerable, and embrace of violence and war, poverty and oppression afflicts so many people. Yet Jesus, the Good Shepherd, offers a different way, a way of love, and it's the calling of the church to embody this love in its mission and call leaders to embody it as well. So let us commit ourselves to following Jesus, our Good Shepherd, who leads us in the way. Let him inspire us, and let us uphold God's mercy and justice for all people, as we seek to live out our calling to love one another in Jesus' name.